Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Thanks for joining this evening. I have a really fun live stream planned. I'm going to take lots of questions from those of you that are joining live, but I also took some questions ahead of time from people from my locals community. And so we will start with some of those questions. They submitted questions around fasting. How long should we be fasting for weight loss? How often should we be doing longer fasts? Questions around how to recover from some type of sugar bender or if you've been off track. Questions about constipation and hemorrhoids and all of those fun things. And then obviously I will be taking lots of questions from the chat as well. So happy Friday. It's good to see everybody. I just mentioned this quickly on Instagram, but I thankfully made it home today. I was traveling. I've been traveling for my job a lot lately. I've been gone this week. I was gone last week. I'm home now. Thankfully, I leave though a week from today to go back to Madrid. So I'm excited to have one full week at home though before I leave. But I was supposed to fly home around noon today. And then I just, for some reason, was like, you know what? I want to get home earlier on a Friday. So I woke up at 1. I was in Texas, which is Central Time. I woke up at 1 a.m. Arizona time. So 3 in Texas. And took a 6 o'clock flight, like got on standby to take a 6 o'clock flight home. And then landed here like 7 in the morning. So it was great. It was perfect timing. And then I just looked, like, is it raining? It is pouring rain, massive. We had hail. We have had like tornado warnings, which is extremely rare for Arizona. I got a notification. My original flight was diverted to California and it's still stuck in California. I don't even know if and when I would have made it home tonight because they had put a ground stop on all flights back into Phoenix for the whole afternoon. So my avoided drama means that I got to hang out, have lunch with the family. I took a little nap, but I'm very tired. So bear with me this evening if I sound a little loopy or look a little tired. But other than that, I'm excited because now I get to hang out with all of you this evening. So welcome. How's everybody doing? New Orleans, that's exciting. Welcome from New Orleans. I see lots of North Texas. I was in Texas this week. I was like north of Austin. I usually end up in like Austin or Houston or somewhere down around there, but I was like pretty far, almost up by Waco this trip. So lots of people in Dallas. Hey, Kimberly. Kimberly is from Central Ohio and she's in my locals community, which is great. So I took some questions from supporters that are in our community. I know I've been getting some messages lately as well. Yeah, I saw Bernadette said it's nice to see. I just posted on Instagram today, which I don't even know the last time that I have done that. It's been a very long time. I just really don't post on Instagram much anymore. And then I've been traveling so much that I haven't really been posting as much on YouTube this month either. I was going to try to get another video put out, but it just has not happened. So yeah, it's been a little lighter for me in terms of content for a couple of reasons, which I'll talk about in a second. But all that being said, I do post in locals, which is my like private community. I still post there every single day. I answer questions every day. I talk to people every day. So if you are, wanting to check in or worried about me, why I'm not posting anywhere else online, I'm over there always. And then to answer your question, do you have any updates on your surgery? I haven't been very active on social media. So you haven't been, and you know what? I haven't been either. Updates on my surgery is things are going really well. I'm wearing long sleeves. I can't really show you, but my arms are doing really well. I still have like scars that are red. I keep wanting to like make an update video, but there's not a lot to share. So they're still pretty visible. I mean, I wear short sleeves pretty normally. And I still try to, whenever I'm not traveling, I try to go to the red light bed, as often as I can, a few times a week. To be honest, I haven't really seen much of it. I don't know if it is making that big of a difference at all, but I do know that I go and it's supposed to help. So I think they say that you shouldn't really judge like what your scars are going to look like for at least a year. So I still am in the place. They're flat. They're really smooth. Like they look great. They're just still a little bit red, which to be honest, I don't really care about. But I have a feeling I'm at like 7 months post-surgery right now. So I'm still kind of like, once I hit that full year mark, I'll start looking at how things are going from that. So let's see. Wow, somebody from Tel Aviv. Welcome. In Georgia, lots of places around. Good to see everybody tonight. Hope you're having a great Friday. Yeah, we are getting tons of flooding. Chris was like looking at some videos that we've seen, like we're getting a lot of flooding around here. So let me try to catch up. Let's do a little business. The reason why I get to do videos like this is that this video is sponsored by Element. I have like packets everywhere. I just came back from my trip. Ooh, I got a blur, sorry. I just came back from my trip and I keep in my bag like tons of packets. You know, I was like traveling all day today. I loaded myself up on electrolytes. I typically use the unflavored version, which for some people can be like a little salty. I really like the like plain non-sweet mineral taste like most of the time, and I water it down enough that it's good. But this little packet of electrolytes is just super convenient for me to take with me everywhere I go. And then it gives me the perfect ratio of the sodium, magnesium, potassium I need. Like I said, it is multiple reasons. It's so hot here. I'm constantly sweating. I'm still doing pretty good on my exercise. So I'm drinking more of them. And then, you know, it might be fall most places, but in Texas where I was this week, in Arizona, it's still very hot. So we still need lots of electrolytes. And then in addition, I really love, thankfully, they brought back the lemonade flavor like permanently, which is my absolute favorite flavor. And it's sweetened with stevia. So if you are looking for an electrolyte drink mix, oh, I forgot. Look at me. Look at, I got something cool new. You can scan this QR code. And if you scan that QR code or you go to drinkelement.com/LAURAESPATH, then you can get a free sample pack with any purchase. So they'll send you this package. It has 8 of their or like 4 flavored, so 2 packets of each one, but you're going to get 8 packets and you can try out 4 different flavors and see which one you like best. The other good thing is they have the best customer service. They have 100% money back guarantee. If you get a flavor, you try one out, they'll swap out different flavors, you know, give you your money back, all that stuff. Look at this. Yeah, Kimberly, look how fancy I am. I'm so fancy. I got a QR code. So I will leave that up there that you can scan and get that free sample pack. I mean, like if you're just looking for a convenient way to get in your electrolytes, this is definitely the way to do it. Everybody in our family is a big fan for sure. Okay, how do I get this one back down again? Okay, there we go. I saw somebody say, what kind of surgery do you have? Just skin removal surgery. So in December of 2022, I had a tummy tuck skin removal surgery from my abdominoplasty. And then in February of this year, I did a brachioplasty, which is my excess skin on my arms. And then I actually also had a bra line lift, which is where they take the excess skin off your back. And I'm telling you, that one of the 3, the skin on my back has probably been my most favorite to get rid of for sure. So I've really, really loved that. I think I have to get out of my head that mentally, like the brachioplasty isn't going to all of a sudden give you these like super toned sculpted arms. Like it just takes away your loose skin. So I think like mentally that's been the hardest one, because I was like immediately 100% happy with my tummy tuck and immediately happy with my back. But my arms, I'm like, is there still skin here? Is there still like tissue? Like that's what your normal arms look like that. You don't have like these rock hard arms. I mean, I don't, normal people don't. So I still am trying to like wrap my head around that those are the way they're supposed to be. So feel free to put some questions in the chat. I will get to as many as I can in the next 50 minutes. I do have some questions to get us started from people in my locals community, which I have everything linked down below. Same thing, those electrolytes and everything is all linked down below. So interesting question. I'm wondering how often we should do a longer fast, so like 36 plus hours for weight loss without the worry of messing up our hormones once a week, once a month. This is a great question. So couple of things. Not everybody needs to be doing a 36-hour fast, okay? Doing a 36-hour fast is extremely helpful for reversing type 2 diabetes. It is great for just reversing insulin resistance. If you're trying to like really reverse a lot of metabolic damage, fasting can be very helpful for that. And, Dr. Jason Fung has a lot of research and books talking about the fact that like you may need to fast for longer to reverse that insulin resistance and your type 2 diabetes. And a lot of that is so that you can burn off that stored sugar. Like if you're just eating regularly, your body is going to be burning what you're eating. And so you might see your blood sugar stabilize on a carnivore diet, but you may think that it's still pretty high. And I see people come to me all the time and say, like, I've been on carnivore 3 months. My blood sugar stabilized. It's not spiking over 200 anymore, but it's like still 140, 150. Like, how do I get my baseline blood sugar down again? And the research that and the procedure that my mom and Chris followed, was implementing those 36-hour fasts. And when you do that, it gives your body the chance to tap into all of that stored glucose and to then burn off that, like, I always say Chris is better at describing this than I am, but to burn off all that stuff that's like deep in your pancreas and your liver and like things that are like causing you to be insulin resistant and that baseline blood sugar to be a lot higher. And so implementing those fasts can be really helpful. Now, how often should you be doing those? Really depends on you and how much are you eating the rest of the time, because the worst combination of fasting and where you do have issues with messing up your hormones is just by under eating in general. If you're under eating, your metabolism is going to slow down, your hormones are going to slow down, you might start losing your hair, like you're going to have some really negative things that are impacted by under eating. Fasting is not necessarily like it doesn't necessarily mean you're under eating only for that one day, but it's not going to wreck your hormones and your metabolism as long as we keep those calories and that baseline metabolic rate up the rest of the time. So, at some point early on in my journey, I was doing 2 48-hour fasts a week. The rest of the time I was eating 1 meal a day, and it really was only like a pound of beef. So I was eating not enough and doing multiple fasts a week. And it really, like, that's where my hair started falling out. Like I started having energy issues. My hormones personally took a dip, but it's because I was under eating and over fasting. So I think that personally, if you are trying to like maintain weight or, just stay kind of close to where you are, doing it once a month is a great way to just kind of like help with maintenance. If you are trying to actively lose weight, reverse your diabetes, I think you need to incorporate, like, I have to be careful. I'm not a doctor. Okay. This is all my personal experience. Just throwing that out there. It is a great idea, or it could be helpful to do a 36 to 48-hour fast once a week. What you want to do is make sure that, like, leading up to your fast, you don't need to overeat. And then coming out of your fast, you don't need to overeat. You just need to make sure that you're not like drastically under eating. If you're eating 1,000 calories a day and you're doing a 36-hour fast, that's a pretty terrible that is the perfect way to mess up your hormones. Like that's pretty terrible for you. So that would be one of the things that I would suggest is, again, if you're trying to lose a lot of weight, I would do it at once a week. If you find that, like, you're eating a really good amount of food the other days and you wanted to add in more than that, then I think you can kind of see how you feel and how easy that is for you. I was listening to a really good, actually, just like while I was getting ready to come on live, I was listening to a really good podcast from Andrew Huberman. It's a recent podcast from the end of August. So it's like a month old, but he basically talks, like, it's a 45-minute podcast on the effects of fasting and time restrictive eating on fat loss and health. And so it obviously has nothing to do with carnivore. However, what he talks a lot about is the fact that, like, in order to lose weight, all you have to do is lower your calories. And I do think that sometimes in the carnivore world, we get a little lost on the fact that, like, maybe people think calories don't matter. Like, calories definitely matter. in order to lose weight, you have to eat less calories than what you burn. Now, there are multiple other factors to that, though. Satiety is the number one most important thing, in my opinion, on like losing weight and eating less calories. This is why when people go carnivore, they tend to be able to, like, a lot of people can eat until they're satisfied and they feel like they're not actually restricting their food, but they just end up eating less calories because the food is very satisfying. You're eating steak and butter and chicken and bacon and eggs, and that food is very satisfying. You're not dealing with these giant blood sugar spikes and crashes. And so when you have stable blood sugar and you're feeling satisfied, you're just not going to be hangry, and you're going to inevitably be able to fast easier, and you're going to eat less, which is then going to help with weight loss. The other thing is, obviously, if you have a lower, if your hormones are messed up, then you definitely are going to, you're not going to burn as much. So, how much you're burning throughout the day, a lot of that depends on your metabolism, and eating fat can be helpful in your body knowing how to burn fat and raising that basal metabolic rate. If you're under eating drastically for so long, you're going to find that your metabolism is slowing down to match the needs of the food that you're giving it. This is why I personally prefer to eat almost at my baseline calories, or just to eat as much as as much as is comfortable for you. And then I like to add in the fasting besides that, so that you're not having to track calories and undereat. And it usually is a better way of keeping your metabolism higher. And then you incorporate the fasting, but you're still able to lose weight, and your body's like burning more effectively, and you're protecting your hormones in a lot of ways. So that's great. Okay, let me get to a couple more questions, but this is a good one. Kimberly is great. What did everybody eat on their carnivore diets today? So share that in the chat, and then I'll go through and read a bunch of those. And we'll see what some of those are. Christy said, glad to catch you live. Element's been extremely helpful. Now I'm looking at adding a magnesium supplement. What are your thoughts on that? If you take any, or can you help with a recommendation? I have sometimes in the past, just to help with digestion. Some people do find that maybe they want to add a little bit of magnesium to their element. What I typically do is use a topical magnesium spray, because it is just your body's going to absorb it a lot more than a supplement. So if I find that if I'm being really proactive with my electrolytes, I don't wake up with leg cramps or digestive issues, and I don't have any magnesium deficiencies. But if I've gotten behind on my element personally, I'll get leg cramps, or my digestive system will slow down a little bit. And so because of that, I use a topical magnesium spray. So I think that is, oops, clicked on the wrong one. So that would be my suggestion. Okay, this is an interesting one, and I would love to know feedback from the group, but I have a very strong opinion on this. So can you talk a little bit about, if you go on a sugar bender, or, you've been off track for a while, you've been eating carbs for a while, what is the best way to get back on track? I feel very, very, very strongly that you should not do any type of radical protocol in order to get back on track. I've made videos about this. I'm not a fan of egg fast, sardine fast. I'm not a fan of the crazy protocol. I think that people tend to gravitate towards those because they want a way of quick fixing the I got off track, and how do I quickly get myself back on track again? Maybe you've gained weight, or you're feeling terrible. So people are looking for a super quick, oh, I need to get back on track again. I think also there's some subconscious or conscious punishment aspect. We shame ourselves. We feel shamed that we've gotten off track, and we think that we have to punish ourselves by going this uber strict, super crazy route. I think when I talked about fasting earlier and doing 36-hour fast, I think that's jumping into a 36-hour fast or a longer fast after you've just maybe binged on having carbs of some kind. I think that's a terrible idea. And it's the gateway to a really an eating disorder of some kind. I just said 4 words that are probably going to get this video flagged. But what I'm saying is like what we want to try to avoid. This has been like my biggest focus for the last 7 years in figuring out how to stick to this and to fix my relationship with food is we have to avoid this, like, I'm going to go all crazy and eat everything and anything in my sight and have one last cheat and one last hurrah for the weekend. And then I'm going to like super strict reset on Monday and I'm going to fast a bunch and I'm going to eat eggs for a week and I'm going to go to like fix to fix the problem that I did. The problem is that this level of extreme is not sustainable for you in your life, your personal life, your vacations, your travel. Like it's one thing to do some type of reset, and I understand that, but like that level of extreme, nobody can stick to that long term. And so when at some point, you're going to be sick of it and you're going to maybe go swing back the other direction too far. And that's always my biggest fear. Like my biggest goal, this is why I would lose 20 pounds, gain 30 pounds, lose 30 pounds, gain 50 pounds. Like I've always had these giant swings in my life with weight because I had this mentality of like, I'm going to do everything I can to get it out of my system. And then I'm going to be super strict and go on a diet and, whatever the diet trend was at the time. And if you've been having carbs and sugar and you've been off track and you've been having a bunch of stuff, like you just literally go back to like, to me, it's like cut out the thing that's been triggering you the most. It's literally like, keep it as simple as possible. This is where I always talk about this phrase of the non-negotiable, rather than say like, I got to do an egg fast for 7 days, or I got to do a super strict, this ratio, this macros, this exercise, this something. Like keep it as simple as possible to give yourself the win and set yourself up for some success and to help you build momentum. The more that you are feeling positive and successful, and the more you are going to be motivated, and the more you're going to like keep wanting to have like wins and wins. And so, my suggestion for somebody who's been off track like that is to just eat carnivore. Like just do carnivore. I don't care how often you eat. I don't care what meat you're eating. I don't care what time of day you're eating. I don't care your fasting window. I don't care how much you're eating. All you got to do is just don't eat carbs. And again, maybe you have vegetable here and there. And if that's helpful for you, okay, no problem. That's not carnivore, but guess what? It's not a cookie. It's not carbs and sugar. Like give yourself the non-negotiable of like no carbs and sugar, no carbs and sugar, no carbs and sugar, no cookies, no ice cream. Like what's the thing that's like getting you off track? And if you can just kind of like only focus on that one simple thing, then you can have a few days and a week and a month of like, man, building consistency. And then, yes, like Kimberly just said, small, narrow diet swings are better than those huge, wide diet swings. And that is where you are going to see long-term results, because rather than losing 20 pounds and gaining 30 pounds, you're going to lose some weight and you might get off track a little bit, but you're narrowing these windows, and it doesn't even really matter what you do. You just get back to being it. Like you just wake up the next day and go back to being simple. And I think this is where people end up getting really truly fatigued of eating this way, is because it's too many big swings. And listen, we've all been there. You've all gone from, I know I've gone from like having tons of carbs and sugar to then going strict on something else, and you feel terrible. So then the next time it's like, okay, just give me one more day. Let me have one more. I'll wait till Monday, because you know the terrible feeling that is awaiting you. But if you're minimizing what you're eating that's off track and not feeling shame and not spiraling about it, and then you just immediately, your next meal, your next day, immediately just, okay, you know what? No carbs, no sugar. I can eat bacon as many times as I want today. Like give yourself some grace and get right back on track. I am definitely just not a fan of these ginormous swings. And I feel like we need to be able to minimize that. Okay, let's check out what's everybody eating tonight. We have scrambled eggs with bacon and burger patties. That sounds delicious. Eggs and salmon, and then ribs for dinner. That sounds amazing. Egg bites, bacon, chicken thighs. Dinner will be steak. I love that. I did an egg fast today, so I just went on a rant about that. So I will add a little more context. Like, is it okay to do an egg fast for a day or two? Sure, go for it. But like, there's no magic in only eating eggs. What's happening is you're just eating less calories than everything else. If you just ate burger patties and bacon, you're going to get the same results. It's just like, who could eat 40 eggs in a day to get enough calories in? So if you want to do that for a day to give yourself a little mental reset, that's fine. I just think that stuff like that is not usually sustainable for people long term. And I just know too many people who have gotten super sick of eggs and then ended up like having pizza instead, because they just can't eat another egg, and then they can't eat another piece of meat, and it almost like gives them meat versions. And then I also know many people who do the egg fast and end up gaining weight because they're adding so much cream. Like a lot of the egg fast recipes, you're putting cream or cheese or cream cheese or all these different things in it. And then they actually end up gaining weight because they think, oh, I could just eat as much as I want of eggs and dairy and stuff. And then they actually end up gaining weight at the end of it. So that is with all of this, though, with fasting, with eating, with everything, you just have to figure out what works for you. And that is really the most important thing. Eggs and bacon and beef sausage and chicken. Sounds amazing. Bacon and eggs and liverwurst, T-bones, salmon, love it. Salmon and cream cheese. Yeah, look at the variety that people are having right now. This is great. This is really great. Let's see here. Now I gotta find my spot in my comments again. Sorry, guys. Ice cream was my temptation, but I found multiple carnivore ice cream recipes, and I bought a Ninja Creamy, found out it's not addictive. So this is the perfect example. So thank you for sharing that. This is the perfect example of you got to figure out what works for you, because you are mentioning you can have carnivore ice cream in your Ninja Creamy and it is not addictive for you at all. But I know many people, and share below how you feel about it, but I know many people are the opposite, where a carnivore ice cream is going to then trigger them to want a real ice cream, or they just overeat the carnivore ice cream, or they end up having real ice cream instead. And neither one of those are like, this is great. I think there's neither one of them is like right or wrong. It's just people have to be aware of what works for them. That's why, like, you know, my biggest message through all of this is there's not one protocol that's going to work for everybody. There's not one way of doing this. Some people can have a carnivore ice cream, and that's a really fun treat for them, and it helps them to not have real ice cream. Same thing with a flavored element. If you are having a flavored element, it's a great sweet treat. You can have it occasionally. It's no big deal. But if a sweet flavor is triggering you to have other carbs and sugar and giving you sweet cravings, don't have it. It doesn't mean it's a bad product, and it doesn't mean it's a bad thing. It just means you should not have it at all, or stick to the unflavored versions or something like that. Same thing. It's great that there's a carnivore ice cream recipe out there. Don't let it come anywhere near me. I cannot handle it, because I will eat the whole thing and then I'll go, that was not Ben and Jerry's. That is just making me think about back in the day when I used to have a pint of ice cream every night. So you really have to be able to know what is, like how things are affecting you. So steak and shrimp. I had shaved beef with Maria Emmerich steak sauce for dinner, a few green olives. Like, there you go. You're still allowed to be here. Don't worry. That's the big thing. Hi, Veebs. Good to see you. Thanks for joining in. 2 bone-in pork chops. I'm boring. What are your thoughts on fat fasts? Kind of the same thing that I just said with everything else. Like, I don't think there's anything. The thing about a fat fast maybe is, like, if you've been under eating for a long time, if you're having a lot of sugar cravings, sometimes that can just be from your body not having enough energy. Like, your body is looking for some type of energy. And so increasing your fat intake can be helpful for that. If I were to do a fat fast, it would just give me diarrhea from like eating too much fat. I don't personally enjoy eating fat plain. Like, I just again, some people have had great success with it. I am not somebody who is going to be that person. Like, I want to eat real food, and any type of fat fast like that is really going to be hard on my gut personally. And it's just going to make me be so miserable that I then start like looking around, like, what else could I eat? That's like, then you're like craving other things, or you start like, looking for something that you shouldn't eat at all because you're kind of miserable with what you're eating. The enjoyment of the food that you're eating is one of the biggest, most important things in being able to like stick to this and do this. You have to be able to enjoy the food that you're eating. So I think though that like eating fat actually kind of helps your body know that it needs to burn fat. So you need to eat some amount of fat in order to burn fat. But again, I don't like the extreme no fats, and I don't like the extreme high fats. I think your body has different fat needs based on your cycle and your energy level and kind of what's going on. And I think that like somewhere in the middle, like you do need a certain amount of fat. I've been eating more fat this year, but that, I only track things just so I could like talk about it with you guys. That doesn't mean I'm eating just like plain fat. It means that I'm eating fattier cuts of meat. And then I mentioned in like a recent grocery haul video, I was like, oh, I'm going to try eating a little bit leaner for the month of September. Well, that means instead of eating chicken with the skin, I'm eating chicken without the skin. Instead of eating a ribeye, I'm eating a New York strip. Like, I'm not going from eating straight butter to eating plain chicken breasts. I'm going from like chuck roast to New York strip, from, chicken legs to boneless, skinless chicken thighs. Like, there can be smaller tweaks. And again, that it doesn't matter how fast you lose weight. If you don't stick to it long term, you're never going to keep it off again. And I think sometimes we just get in such a hurry to look for this, like some type of extreme protocol to lose weight really fast, that inevitably we've ended up making things like a much harder on ourselves because we can't stick to it. And so, I'm like the biggest fan of finding a way to be consistent. Yeah. Jordan said, in previous videos, I recall Chris talking about doing lean days, and now you have 2 recently. Could you explain the benefits of this? Would a new carnivore benefit for this, or is this for aged carnivores? Great. Again, great question. It kind of depends on your goals. So Chris he did a lot of fasting, those 48-hour fast in our first year. He was doing them once or twice a week because he needed to reverse his type 2 diabetes. His A1C in the beginning, when he first went carnivore, his A1C was 11.6 or like 11.9. And he was on the maximum dose of metformin at the time. And the doctor told him that they were going to put him on insulin. And he was like, give me 3 months and see what I can do on my own. And he read Dr. Jason Fung's book. He found out about carnivore. He went with, he learned about Dr. Sean Baker and Dr. Jason Fung at the same time and implemented this like extreme, went strict carnivore with fasting. And he started doing daily walks, like 45 minutes a day walking, which is also very good for that. I'm circling back around to your question. Don't worry. So he was doing those longer fasts, and then his A1C went from like 11.6 down to 4.9 just by doing carnivore and fasting. So obviously he knew he had to do some fasting. He did fasting, I would say, regularly like that for the first year in order to lose his 100 pounds, reverse his diabetes, and then it's like really good for kind of healing a lot of things that are going on with your body. Really though, Chris hates fasting. He, in the last 5 years, really only has done it if I'm like, you should just fast because I need like a fasting buddy, which honestly, even in the last 2 years, I don't even know if he's done a 48-hour fast once in the last 2 years. So for him, instead of doing fasting to lose weight or just kind of keep his weight maintenance, he would rather do leaner days. He enjoys eating chicken occasionally, pork chops. New York strips are his favorite. So he would rather, there's different levers you can pull in order to do weight loss. He would rather just go a little bit leaner in order to lose weight versus doing fasting. I personally would rather do fasting, or like I'm doing it now just to like see how I feel, see if there's any difference, only because I've been doing higher fat for so long. I'm even hesitant to say high fat because according to like the macros of the like high fat community, I'm definitely not that high. But again, we are not going from straight eating fat to eating lean. we are doing, I kind of explained that already, but we're keeping this a little bit, lever. Honestly, I think in the beginning, like fat gives you the satiety, and then eating leaner can help you lose weight. So I think you could mix it up a couple of times a week, have some ribeyes a couple of times a week, and then give yourself something leaner a couple of times. I think that's probably the best way for new carnivores to do it, is just to kind of eat what sounds good. And then I think that, if you're not losing weight, try going leaner for a couple of days. And if that's not working, then you could try just like boosting things up slightly, like making small adjustments. I think that where you get into trouble is if you're eating a higher fat and a higher calorie for a long period of time, like you're going to gain weight. And if you're eating low fat and lower calorie for a longer period of time, you're going to slow your metabolism down and you're going to negatively affect your hormones. And so I don't think either way, long-term or for any extended period of time, is good. And I think for a new carnivore, you need to mostly just do what works for you. Like eat what sounds good. And then over time, based on your results, if your digestive system is slow, if you're really feeling low energy, if you're craving a lot of carbs and sugar, like add a little more fat to your diet. That fat can help with those things. If you're having loose stools, if you're not feeling full and you're like not physically hungry, but you're really mentally hungry, because like I need to feel full. If you're used to eating a lot of volume, you got to feel full. Well, you can't eat a ton of volume at a high fat. So if you have loose stools, if you're gaining weight, if you're just not feeling full and that's causing you to have issues, then cut out some of that fat and eat a little bit leaner. And I think that can be something that's really helpful for you. I want instant weight loss. Don't we all? I am totally with you on that one. Okay. This kind of goes along with what I was just talking about, but my husband, this was from a supporter. I didn't have room to write the supporter in there, and then I'll get back to the chat. My husband is starting carnivore, 3 months of carnivore. He suffered from hemorrhoids for years, and this diet has recently turned his poop into hard balls that are making his life miserable afterwards. And then she went on to say, like, he is having electrolytes. What can he do? And I would first say I would start with increasing your electrolytes. And she was saying he is having like a lot of water and electrolytes. I would just increase the ratio of electrolytes that you're having to the water, that he's having to the water, because that sodium and the magnesium is going to kind of help loosen things up. And the other thing is I would increase fat. Like I would be curious how much fat he's eating, because if he's eating too lean, then that can also be a problem. So I would really focus on that. And this is where you could increase, like taking a magnesium supplement, or something like that as well. So let's see. Okay, let me get caught up here a little bit. Leftover rotisserie chicken with butter mayo for lunch. Out and about, had 2 Whopper Junior patties with butter balls for supper, and 2 figs off my dad's fig tree because it makes me happy. Love that. I think obviously vegans don't eat figs, right? Because isn't there something about like how wasps like burrow inside of figs or something like that? Like, I'm not, I think I've heard something somewhere about how vegans won't eat a fig. Doesn't mean it's carnivore, but I just know a vegan won't eat it. How much meat should we eat in a day? Okay, if you are just starting, this is where I truly believe like you should eat when you're hungry and stop when you're full at first. If you're hungry and you're craving carbs or sugar, eat meat, eat bacon, eat cheese, eat eggs, do what you got to do to kind of get yourself off the carbs and the sugar. However, after you've been doing it for a while, then it's really going to be based on your results. I think everybody could benefit from some type of intermittent fasting. What that fasting window looks like is going to be based on your life and your schedule and what works best for your family. Like my kids eat dinner, and I don't sleep well if I eat dinner, and my husband doesn't eat dinner. My kids are at jujitsu right now. So when they come home, they're going to have a quick dinner and shower and bed. And like, there's just dinner is chaos in our family. we don't eat dinner together. So my intermittent fasting window means that I don't eat dinner. That being said, like if I'm not traveling, my kids are homeschooled, my husband's home, like we're all home. We get like a family lunch anytime I'm not traveling. And especially on the weekends, like our big family meal every day is lunch. That being said, if your kids are at school, if your husband's at work, if you're at work, if the only family meal you guys get is at dinner, and I'm telling you, you have to fast through dinner, like that's terrible. You're going to be miserable in your life. Again, we are trying to not do the perfect protocol. We are trying to be the most consistent long-term, like we're looking for long-term consistency. And if dinner is a really important family meal for you, then sit down and eat dinner and kind of adjust your intermittent fasting window in some other time. Definitely try to eat like as early in the evening as possible, because you obviously don't want to be eating right before you go to bed. And then also to minimize that, like, your body is going to take some time to digest after you eat. And so if you have to eat dinner, I think one of the most important things you should do is go for a walk. I just was listening to this podcast and Andrew Huberman said, if you eat dinner at 8:00 at night, it's taking your body 5 or 6 hours to finish digesting that food. So that's taking you well into the middle of the night. I wear a Whoop fitness tracker. And if I eat dinner, I can see my stress level and I see my heart rate. And the minute I go to sleep, if I ate at 8:00 at night and I go to bed at 10, the first half of the night, my body is under stress. And my body is trying to burn off all of the food that I just ate while I'm sleeping. And it gives me a terrible recovery score and a terrible sleep score. And my body does not react well to eating dinner. But that's because you're having to your body's having to digest all of that food, which takes a lot of physical effort. If you are eating dinner, one of the best things you could do is go for a walk, because then you're taking that 5 to 6 hours of digestion time and you're cutting it down to 2 or 3 just by doing a 20-minute walk after dinner or after your meal. It's helping to minimize that blood sugar impact. It's helping your body to digest things faster. So Veeb said, it's 8:42 and I'm eating supper. So then go for a little walk or just walk around your house if it's, too dark outside. Just give yourself a little bit of exercise and just a walk so that your body then has an easier time digesting that food. That would be the biggest thing. I think the question there was how much should I be eating? Yeah, I think it start off with whatever you want, and then you can make adjustments over time. I think people can benefit from intermittent fasting. That's what I'm trying to remember my path of how I got here. Okay. Because there was something else I wanted to say, but then I also think tweaking, how much fat should you eat and how much protein should you eat is another big part of it. So here's the smart one of the two of us. Chris is at jujitsu with the kids. So he's watching from there and adding a couple comments. He said, for someone that's fat adapted, lowering the fat intake temporarily will cause the body to burn more body fat. So Chris just eats leaner meats in the same quantities for a few days at a time. And that's just his way of just maybe losing a little weight or keeping his weight maintained. So that way he's not having to do a full water fast. And so I think, again, if you're not trying to lose a lot of weight and if you're not trying to reverse type 2 diabetes or lower that baseline glucose, you probably don't need to do those longer fasts. But I do think it's really helpful for everybody to do some type of intermittent fasting. Yeah, we all want that instant weight loss. I've had to realize that slower is good. It didn't come on instantly. I'm down now 30 pounds in 6 months. I want faster, but at least it's going down and not up. Yeah. And you know what? I think that when you look at another 6 months from now, if you've lost another 30 or, you'll be in a much better place than if you lost that 30 pounds in a month by following some type of extreme protocol. Now at 6 months in, you could have been up 40 pounds, or you could have gained some or all of that back again. But if you think about if you lost 60 pounds in a year and then you were able to keep it off, isn't that so much better than going this crazy on and on and on and off again, back and forth again? Ooh, this is an interesting one. So when did you decide to start sharing your carnivore journey? I love that. I always tease, like, my joke is that I'm like an accidental influencer. Like, I never planned on talking about this or sharing about it. I used to post on Snapchat with like my friends from work, and we just kind of like how I used to do Instagram stories, which I don't really do anymore, but we just used to kind of do that. Like, here's what I'm doing today. Here's what I'm eating. And I was kind of used to like documenting things back in the day. This was, 7 years ago. The Instagram blogger was like very new. Nobody was really doing that as much. Like, it was kind of new. The Instagrammer, people sharing their all day long on their lives and like documenting themselves on Instagram stories was kind of a new thing back then. But I just posted a before and after picture on Instagram, and I had like 60 friends and family on my public Instagram. And I hit 100 pounds weight loss that day. Or maybe this was when I hit like 120 pounds. Like, I think it was like truly, I was done losing weight. And I posted a picture on Instagram, and I just was like, carnivore diet. Thanks to a few people who've like talked about carnivore and helped to tell me about it. Like, we tagged Dr. Barry, and I tagged like Sean Baker. And I just was like, hey, here's my 60 friends and family. Here's my weight loss. I lost 120 pounds, and just tagged a few people and I hashtagged carnivore diet, and then went to bed. And I woke up the next day and I had like 1,000 people on Instagram. And because like Dr. Baker and a few other people had like reshared that picture. And then I like made another post that day answering some questions that I got. And then I made another post kind of answering stuff. Well, then on Instagram, like, you kind of lose. Then I was getting the same questions over again. And like, how did you lose the weight? How did you do this? And so I thought, well, you know what? Maybe I'll just make a YouTube video so that I don't have to keep re-explaining like, how did I lose the weight every time? And so I took my cell phone and I like leaned it up in the window, and I just hit record, and I was like, okay, here's how I lost the weight. And I just talked for like 20 minutes, and then I hit stop, and then I uploaded it to YouTube. And in my mind, it was like, okay, I'm going to just do this one YouTube video. So anytime on Instagram, when people ask me, how did you lose the weight? I'll just say, go watch this YouTube video. And I like literally just went through the timeline of how I lost the weight, and then kind of went from there. Then I made another one, like, I still record everything on my cell phone and edit everything on my cell phone, which is funny to me when I see people tag me in of them watching one of my YouTube videos and it's on their TV. I'm like, that is so giant. I've never seen any of my videos outside of like my little phone screen before. So that's always really funny to see. So yeah, when did I decide to start sharing it? Was I had already lost all of my weight. Now, that being said, that doesn't mean things have been smooth sailing. I gained some weight back in 2020 during COVID, lost some again, and kind of like it's been all up and down after that. But I really had no intentions of like sharing things online. I just wanted to like answer the questions that I was getting. And then it's really turned into like just being able to hopefully try to help people see how you can do this as a very normal person. I work a full-time job. I'm a mom, and I'm trying to just be healthy. And I really don't care if I'm the perfect carnivore or whatever that might look like, or the best YouTuber. Like I said, I still do that all here. I'm just trying to hopefully show people that you can just live a normal life and lose the weight and keep it off. And then hopefully, help to fix your relationship with food for sure. So wait, what are you wearing that gives you sleep information? Yeah, I pay for this. I used it for like a year, 2 years ago, and then I stopped using it for like a year. I'll link it. I'm going to put it in the chat for you after this. It's the Whoop. I have like I think they give you a referral discount like that anybody can use. Again, it's not like not sponsored or anything, but they added a step tracker to it. So now I'm obsessed with like, how many steps am I getting? So when I was using it before, there was no step tracker with it, but now it will track your steps. So I use it for that. I will say, like, if you're like my friend Ashley, who I love, messaged me and she was like, oh, I think I'm going to get the Whoop. And I was like, you do not want the Whoop. You are way too fashionable for this. You accessorize. You are too cute. Like, you go to corporate business meetings. She's in sales. So she's in like customer facing meetings. She's always wearing the cutest dresses and outfits and etc. And I was like, you don't want this. It's a big, thing that you got to wear on your wrist, or they have other places that you can wear it on your body. But I am in athleisure unless I'm traveling. And even then you don't really see it. So I'll link it down below. You can take a look at it, but it tracks your sleep. It's very worried about me right now because I've been up since 1 a.m. and all that. So, yeah, the fact that it, tracks my steps now is like, I used it for a year and it was really helpful information. And then I stopped using it because I kind of felt like I learned everything I needed to learn. Like, okay, my sleep's trash when I travel, but what are you going to do? But now I am realizing that, now that it tracks the steps, I want to use it more often. Oh, this is a good one. You guys need to give Chris here. So just started carnivore 5 days ago. The wife calls me crazy every time. When will she stop giving me a hard time? When she finally caves and does it with you. That's me. I called my husband, Chris, crazy for the first couple of weeks, even months that he was doing it. I don't think it was months, but I started a keto, and then he joined me on keto, and then he started carnivore. And I kept telling him he was crazy. And it wasn't until I did it myself that I realized it. And my mom was calling us crazy, and everybody around me was calling us crazy. And it wasn't until they saw the results, when they literally watched me show up to work every single week, losing and losing and losing and losing weight. And then Chris was able to get off of his diabetes medications. When Chris got off of his medications and he showed my mom how much he lowered his A1C, she was completely bought in. So the answer is, she's only going to figure it out in her own time. This is one of the things that's hard, is that we can't really get them to believe it for themselves. Especially, she's not going to listen to you either. Oh, I used to tease Chris. I'm like, what's your podcast tell you today about you don't need vegetables? This is I just used to tease him all the time about this. It's not going to happen until she sees a dramatic change in you of some kind, or she tries it herself, which may never happen if she's really not bought into it. But she might start getting curious if you can stick to it, and then she starts seeing dramatic changes. There you go. I kind of want to make her jealous and actually join me. That's exactly what's going to happen, right? She's going to start joining you if you can stick to it. The hard part about doing this, and I have so much empathy for people who are the only person in their household that's doing this, which is why having a community of some kind can be really helpful, to have people who understand what you're going through and help encourage you. So it's harder for you to stick to it because she's not doing it. But if you have any type of stubbornness or competition inside of you, like I do, then maybe you'll be able to stick to it so that you can show her, not shove it in her face. I don't mean it negatively like that, but so that she then sees how I need to prove to somebody that I can do this and I can stick to it and it's going to give me great results. And then I guarantee you that's going to be the best way to your consistency and your results are going to be the only way to make her curious. It's not going to be, you're never going to be able to give her the facts to convince her. It's just never going to happen at all. Do you drink coffee? I don't, but I never did. I just never did. I was never a coffee drinker. I don't like the taste. And I've never, even before carnivore, I know many, many, many carnivores drink coffee and they're fine. I do have Diet Coke is my coffee. I definitely had a Diet Coke this morning in the American Airlines lounge at 5 a.m. before my flight. And I walked into the place and they're like, would you like some coffee? And I was like, no, I want a Diet Coke. Diet Coke is my coffee essentially. And that's what I needed at 5 a.m. before a day of all day traveling. So no coffee for me, but just out of personal preference. Not that I'm encouraging you to drink Diet Coke, but if that's the worst thing that I have, I'll be okay. Don't worry. I think especially if you're having, I think it's a very rare person who's going to negatively react to black coffee. And if you're negatively reacting to black coffee, then you have something other root cause issues that are happening with you, that's your problem. It's not you need to carnivore harder. There's this term of it's not that if you're not losing weight and you're having black coffee is not the problem. You got something else going on. The problem that coffee brings for people is if they're just putting a lot of cream in it. And so you're putting in more cream than maybe you realize, and you're having 3 cups of coffee a day. and you're probably putting in several tablespoons of cream in them, like that adds up. That's empty calories. Your body's not going to feel satisfied from those. If anything, it's making you hungrier. You're not getting the benefits of intermittent fasting. So something like an element, even a flavored element, does not break your fast. Black coffee doesn't break your fast. Black coffee with sweetener does not break your fast, but putting cream in it is going to. And so I think if you're somebody who's drinking like coffee that looks more like milk, brown milk, it's probably a problem. You're right. That's probably a problem. But if your coffee is mostly black coffee, then I think there's no problems with it. What are your thoughts on taking Equip protein drink? I think it's fantastic. I honestly, like, Equip is having a sale that I didn't even mention because I'm never on Instagram anymore, but I will link it down below. I think if you are struggling with eating enough, if you are a previous bariatric patient of some kind, if you can't eat a lot in one sitting, my mom cannot eat a lot in one sitting and she finds that she undereats. Having a scoop of the Equip protein powder is vital for her. She starts every morning she doesn't like coffee, but I know a lot of people that use the Equip protein in place of cream. Then you're getting like 21 grams of protein in that scoop in the mornings. You're not fasting, but you're starting your day with protein. Like, they're using that as a breakfast replacement. My mom does not want to eat breakfast in the mornings. So she does and she doesn't drink coffee. So she does a hot chai tea with a scoop of the vanilla Equip protein in it. And she gives herself like a chai tea latte in the mornings, and it's got 20 grams of protein in it. And she puts it in like a big tumbler, and she has this like delicious chai latte, and it's 20 grams of protein, and she starts her day right. And so that really helps her to eat enough. And I don't think you need a protein shake if you're like eating an adequate amount. But if you check your macros throughout the day and you realize you're eating 1,200 calories or something, you definitely are not eating enough. And adding a scoop of protein, like clean protein powder like that. They have an unflavored version, which is beef isolate powder, and it's 100% pure carnivore. And then they do have lots of flavored versions that they have if you're buying it, be very careful because they have versions that are sweetened with stevia that have like 1 gram of carbs per scoop, but they also have some that are sweetened with coconut sugar and monk fruit. So no stevia, but they have coconut, like real sugar in them. And they have like 5 grams of carbs per serving. My mom is previously diabetic. She's really being careful with her blood sugar. She has the stevia version, and that's important for her. My kids don't love the stevia taste as much, and they are not metabolically damaged. I make protein pancakes for them with the Equip protein, and they use the one that has like coconut sugar in it. So you could just be careful which one you're buying depending on your needs. And I will link all that stuff down below. I have a discount code that you can use to get that for a sale as well. So yeah, this hour did fly by. It always flies by. I do a weekly live stream. So let me mention this most weeks, if I'm not traveling, I will do one next week. And then I'm in Spain for a week. So I won't be doing it obviously when I'm overseas. But like this week, my flight, was on. Most of the time it's like Mondays. I'll do a live stream Monday nights. You can come join. You can join for free. And then if you want to hang out in the live streams and if you want to post your own stuff, like, it's a community like a Facebook group, but not on Facebook because not everybody has Facebook anymore. So it's, you join like through their website. You can join for free. And every single morning I post something that's hopefully a little bit motivational, or it kind of asks you a question and makes you kind of like think or reflect on your own journey. And then if you want to post your own stuff, if you want to ask me questions, it's like $10 a month. And it's just honestly the best way to like keep out trolls and all that kind of stuff. And to be honest, I'm never on Instagram anymore. I don't answer any messages there, and I'm barely on any other forms of social media. This is the only place that I am in every single day. I talk to people and answer questions and post stuff. We do giveaways in there, and then I do a live stream every week. So if you're looking for more live streams and you don't want to wait another month until the end of October when I do this again, you can come hang out and join. Yeah, Kimberly has been offering, and Kimberly's been in here tonight offering tons of great advice. And several people that are in the group tonight, but Kimberly's in the locals community. there's a great group over there that you can come hang out and we will answer questions. Hope you have a great night. I'm glad I made it home. I'm glad I was able to hang out with you this evening. And I hope you have a great weekend. Just remember how good you're going to feel on Monday. You don't wait to start till Monday. Start tonight, start tomorrow, and see how you feel by Monday. Bye. Yeah. Love it. Bye, guys.